Hi, I am Sophia. Welcome to True Payback, where story hits different. Hit subscribe. Let's dive in.
The call came on a Tuesday, 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. Amanda, it's Mom. I was in my office reviewing acquisition documents for a commercial property portfolio in Austin. 23 buildings, $67 million total investment. My analyst team had flagged some concerns about the environmental assessments. Hey Mom. What's up? About Thanksgiving. There's been a change of plans. I minimized the spreadsheet. Something in her tone made me pay attention. What kind of change? Well, Tyler and Jennifer are hosting this year. At their new house in Greenwich. You know how beautiful it is. I haven't seen it yet. Right. Well. She paused. Jennifer's parents are coming. The Harringtons. Very prominent family. Her father owns that pharmaceutical distribution company. You've probably seen the trucks. And her mother is on the board of. Anyway, they're very traditional. Very formal. I waited. The thing is, sweetie, Jennifer is a bit nervous about the whole thing. First Thanksgiving with both families, you know how it is. And with her parents being so particular about social dynamics and professional backgrounds. Mom, just say it. Another pause. Longer this time. It might be better if you sat this one out. Just this year. Just to avoid any awkwardness. I set down my pen very carefully. Awkwardness about what? Your situation. Jennifer's family is very achievement-oriented, and they don't really understand the whole freelance lifestyle thing. And you know how your father gets when people ask about what you do for work. It just might be easier. Easier if I wasn't there. It's not personal, Amanda. It's just, your brother is trying to make a good impression. His business is taking off. Jennifer's father is actually interested in potentially investing, and having you there with your unconventional career path. It might raise questions that distract from Tyler's big moment. Don't be dramatic. It's one holiday. We'll do something together for Christmas. Just the four of us. I looked out my office window at the Manhattan skyline. 43rd floor. Corner office. View of Central Park. Does Tyler know you're calling me? It was his idea, actually. He's very concerned about making the right impression. You understand. I understand perfectly. So you're okay with it? I said nothing, I replied. I'll let you go, Mom. I have a meeting. Thank you for being reasonable about this, honey. Love you. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there for a moment. Then I opened my phone and pulled up my wealth manager's direct line. Stephen answered on the second ring. Amanda, good timing. I was just reviewing the Davis Real Estate Group quarterly reports. Their leverage ratios are concerning, but the property valuations are holding. Pull all funding from Davis Real Estate Group. Silence. I'm sorry, what? Withdraw all capital. Immediately. I want every dollar out by end of week. Amanda, that's $4.8 million in active development loans. If we pull that capital, they're completely exposed on 3 separate projects. They'll have to halt construction, potentially default on their acquisition financing. That's not my problem. We structured those loans specifically to support their expansion. Your brother's company. You were very clear about wanting to help him. I've changed my mind. More silence. Stephen had been managing my wealth for 6 years. He knew when to push and when to execute. All right. I'll need your signature on the withdrawal authorization. I can have the documents ready within the hour. Send them. I'll sign tonight. Amanda, can I ask what changed? Family dynamics, I said. Nothing you need to worry about. Understood. I'll process this as priority 1. The funds will be back in your primary account by Friday. I hung up, opened my laptop, typed an email to my legal team. 2 Morrison and Associates Legal. Subject. Davis Real Estate Group Loan Recall. Message. Effective immediately, initiate formal recall of all outstanding loans to Davis Real Estate Group per contract terms. Ensure all documentation is filed correctly. Expect potential pushback. Do not negotiate. My phone buzzed almost immediately. Tyler's number. I let it ring. I need to explain something about my family. The Devises were comfortable. Upper middle class. Dad was a regional sales director for a medical supply company. Mom was a realtor who did well in the suburban Connecticut market. They had a nice house, nice cars, nice vacations. Tyler was the firstborn. The golden child. Star athlete in high school, business degree from UConn, married Jennifer Harrington, whose family made the DeVises look middle class. I was 2 years younger. The artistic one. The creative type. The one who marched to her own drummer. Translation: the disappointment. I went to NYU for art history. Spent my early 20s working at galleries, taking odd freelance jobs, living in a studio apartment in Brooklyn that cost more than my parents' mortgage. They were perpetually worried about me. When are you going to get a real job? Dad would ask at every family dinner. I have a job. A stable job. With benefits. A career path. What they didn't know, what I never told them, was that I'd been investing since college. Started with $3,000 I'd saved from a summer internship. Bought dividend stocks, reinvested everything, taught myself technical analysis and financial modeling. By 25, I had $50,000. By 30, $300,000. By 35, I'd crossed 7 figures. At 38, I was managing a personal portfolio worth $23 million and consulting for a private real estate investment fund that paid me $400,000 a year. But I still lived in Brooklyn. Still dressed casually. Still introduced myself as a consultant when people asked what I did. My family never asked for details. They assumed consultant meant barely employed. Tyler, meanwhile, had started Davis Real Estate Group 5 years ago. Residential and commercial development. He had big ambitions and decent instincts but terrible financial management. 2 years ago he'd come to me at Dad's birthday party. "I need your advice," he'd said, pulling me aside. "The business is growing faster than we can fund it. We've got 3 development opportunities but the banks won't extend our credit line. Do you know anyone in finance who might?" He trailed off, looking embarrassed. Asking his underachieving sister for help clearly pained him. "How much do you need?" $4 to $5 million. "I know it's a lot, but the deals are solid. 20% ROI minimum. It's just a timing issue with the construction loans." I'd pretended to think about it. "Let me make some calls." A week later, I'd structured $4.8 million in development loans through my investment fund. Routed through 3 different LLCs. Anonymous investor. Tyler never knew his little sister was the one keeping his company afloat. He'd called me when the funds cleared. "Amanda, whoever you connected me with is amazing. These terms are incredible. Seriously, thank you. Just help them out when you can," I'd said. "Absolutely. I owe you." Apparently not. Tyler called 4 more times Tuesday night. I ignored all of them. Wednesday morning he showed up at my apartment. I watched him through the door camera. Expensive suit, BMW parked illegally on the street. That confidence he'd always carried that said the world would bend to accommodate him. I opened the door before he could knock. "We need to talk," he said. "I'm working. This is important. Can I come in?" I stepped aside. He walked into my 1-bedroom Brooklyn apartment and immediately looked uncomfortable. The furniture was minimal. IKEA and Craigslist finds. The art on the walls was good but not expensive. The kitchen was the size of a closet. "You're still here?" he asked. "I thought you'd have upgraded by now." "I like it here." "Tyler, why are you in my apartment at 8 in the morning?" He ran a hand through his hair. "Someone is pulling their investment from my company. All of it. $4.8 million. My CFO got the notification yesterday and we've been scrambling to figure out who it is and why." "That sounds stressful." "It's beyond stressful. We're leveraged on 3 separate development projects. If this capital disappears, we default on everything. The company collapses." I poured myself coffee. Didn't offer him any. "Did you breach the loan agreement?" "What? Oh. Everything's been on schedule. We've been making all our payments. This came out of nowhere." He pulled out his phone. "The investor is hidden behind a bunch of shell companies, but our lawyers are trying to trace it. Amanda, you work with financial people. Do you know anyone who could help us figure out who's behind this?" "No. Could you at least ask around? This is my entire company. Jennifer's father was going to invest, but if he hears about this instability, maybe you should have thought about that before uninviting me to Thanksgiving." He stopped. Stared at me. "What?" "Mom called yesterday. Said I'm not invited anymore because Jennifer's parents are coming and my unconventional career path, might make things awkward. Oh. He had the decency to look uncomfortable. Yes. That. Look, Amanda, that wasn't personal. Jennifer's parents are really particular about being around successful people. I get it. I'm the family embarrassment. The artsy sister who never got a real job. Can't have me contaminating Tyler's big moment. You're twisting this. Am I? I set down my coffee mug. Hard enough that it made a sound. Tyler, I'm 38 years old. I have spent my entire adult life listening to this family apologize for my existence. Dad changes the subject when people ask about me. Mom makes excuses. And you pretend I don't exist unless you need something. That's not fair. It's completely fair. 2 years ago you needed money. Suddenly I was useful. You called me. For my help. And I helped you, didn't I? Got you connected with investors. Made it happen. And I was grateful. Until it was inconvenient. Until having a sister who doesn't fit Jennifer's family's standards became a liability. I crossed my arms. So here's what happened, Tyler. The anonymous investor who's been funding your company for 2 years? That was me. The color drained from his face. What are you talking about? I structured $4.8 million in development loans through my investment fund. I'm the one who's been keeping your company operational. I'm the money you've been spending. You couldn't have. I walked to my laptop, pulled up the loan documentation, turned the screen toward him. Davis Real Estate Group. Development Loan Agreement. $4.8 million at 6.5% interest. Funding provided by Meridian Capital Holdings, which is a subsidiary of ACM Investment Group, which I own. He leaned over the screen, started scrolling. His expression shifted from disbelief to shock to something approaching horror. Amanda, this is serious money. This is $4.8 million. Yes. I wrote the check 2 years ago when you were desperate. And now I'm taking it back. You can't do that. We have contracts. We have. Clause 23. Early termination rights. Either party may recall the loan with 72 hours written notice if material circumstances change. I sent that notice yesterday. Material circumstances? What material circumstances? I no longer have confidence in the company's management. That's bullshit. Amanda, if you pull this money, we're ruined. 3 active development projects, all leveraged. We'll default on everything. The company will collapse. Jennifer's father will pull out. My reputation will. Your reputation. I said it quietly, calmly. Is that what matters here? Of course it matters. I've spent 5 years building this company. Jennifer and I are trying to start a family. We just bought the house. Her parents were finally taking me seriously. And you were so concerned about protecting all of that, you couldn't risk having your struggling sister at Thanksgiving dinner. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. This is revenge. This is portfolio management. I'm withdrawing from an investment I no longer believe in. Because I uninvited you from Thanksgiving. Because you've spent 2 years taking my money while being ashamed of me. Because you let Mom call me and tell me I'm not welcome at family holidays because I might embarrass you. Because you've made it very clear that I'm only valuable to this family when I'm useful and invisible. I'll fix it. I'll call Mom right now. You're invited. Jennifer's parents will just have to deal with. I don't want your pity invitation, Tyler. I wanted basic respect. And you couldn't even give me that. So you're destroying my company. I'm withdrawing my investment. If that destroys your company, maybe your company was built on a foundation you should have questioned sooner. He stood there, phone in hand, looking like someone had just explained that gravity no longer applied. Amanda, please. I'll do anything. I'll tell everyone the truth. I'll explain to Jennifer's parents that you're successful, that you've been helping me. Now you want to tell them. Now that it's useful to you. What do you want me to say? Nothing. I walked to my door. Opened it. I want you to leave. The loan recall is final. You have 72 hours to arrange alternative financing. I suggest you start making calls. Amanda. Tyler, I spent 2 years protecting your success while you were embarrassed by my existence. I'm done. Figure it out yourself. He walked to the door. Stopped. You're really going to do this? You're really going to let everything I've built just collapse? You let me be uninvited to Thanksgiving. I guess we both have to live with uncomfortable choices. He left. By Thursday, the financial impact was becoming clear. Stephen called with updates. Davis Real Estate Group is scrambling for alternative financing. They've reached out to 4 different commercial lenders. All of them are quoting significantly higher interest rates. Tyler's leverage ratios are making banks nervous. Not my problem. His CFO called me directly. Offered to restructure the terms. Higher interest, personal guarantees from Tyler, even equity stake options. Tell them no. Amanda, I have to flag something. If Davis Real Estate defaults, there will be downstream impacts. Contractors, suppliers, the residential buyers who've already put deposits on the condos. People will get hurt. People who work for a company with poor financial planning. They deserve better management. You're not wrong. I'm just making sure you understand the scope. I understand perfectly. By Friday my phone was ringing constantly. That Tyler. Jennifer. Even Jennifer's mother somehow got my number. I didn't answer any of them. On Saturday I got an email from Dad. Subject, this has gone too far. Amanda. Your mother told me what happened with Thanksgiving. I don't know all the details, but I know Tyler's business is in serious trouble and apparently you have something to do with it. Whatever grudge you're holding, this is not the way to handle it. Tyler has worked incredibly hard to build that company. He has employees depending on him, a wife, a future. You don't destroy someone's life over a holiday dinner invitation. I'm asking you as your father to reconsider whatever you're doing. Be the bigger person. Show some family loyalty. This behavior is beneath you. That. I read it twice. Then I wrote back. Subject, this has gone too far. Dad. You're right that Tyler has worked hard. What you don't know is that he's been working with my money. 2 years ago I structured $4.8 million in loans to keep his company operational. I did it anonymously because I wanted to help my brother without making him feel obligated. I watched him succeed. I was proud of him. But when Mom called to tell me I wasn't welcome at Thanksgiving because my unconventional career path might embarrass Tyler in front of his in-laws, something became very clear. I'm only valuable to this family when I'm useful and invisible. You want to talk about family loyalty? I've been funding Tyler's dreams for 2 years while listening to you apologize for my existence at every family gathering. I've watched you change the subject when colleagues ask about me. I've heard Mom make excuses for why I'm not settled like Tyler. I'm not destroying Tyler's life. I'm withdrawing my support from someone who fundamentally doesn't respect me. If his company collapses without my money, maybe it wasn't as solid as everyone thought. Amanda. He didn't write back. The following week the news started spreading. Davis Real Estate Group announced they were pausing development on 2 of their 3 active projects. The third, a luxury condo building in Stamford, was officially halted, leaving 23 families who'd put down deposits in limbo. Local news picked it up. Prominent development firm faces financial crisis. Jennifer's father pulled his investment interest. Tyler's business partners started looking at exit strategies. On Wednesday, Tyler showed up at my apartment again. This time he looked worse. Unshaven, rumpled suit, dark circles under his eyes. Can we talk? Please. I let him in. He sat on my couch and put his head in his hands. It's over. The company is filing for bankruptcy. The lawyers say we might be able to restructure under Chapter 11, but realistically, it's done. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? He looked up. Because from where I'm sitting you orchestrated this. You set me up to fail. I gave you $4.8 million with favorable terms and reasonable repayment schedules. You failed to build a company that could survive without my constant support. That's not me setting you up. That's you mismanaging your business. I didn't know it was your money. Would it have mattered? Would you have treated me differently if you'd known? I sat down across from him. Tyler, be honest. If you'd known I was the one funding your company, would you still have uninvited me from Thanksgiving? He didn't answer. That's what I thought. Jennifer left, he said quietly. Moved back in with her parents. Says she needs space to think. Her father won't even take my calls. I'm sorry. You did this. You destroyed my marriage, my company, my reputation. I withdrew an investment. Sold everything else. That's the consequences of decisions you made. What decisions? The decision to build a company on debt you couldn't service. The decision to prioritize appearances over substance. The decision to value your in-laws' approval more than your sister's dignity. I leaned forward. Tyler, I would have kept funding your company indefinitely. I wanted you to succeed. But I also wanted basic respect. And you made it very clear which one mattered more to you. So this is about Thanksgiving. This is about 38 years of being treated like the family embarrassment. Thanksgiving was just the moment I stopped accepting it. He stood up. I hope you're proud of yourself. I'm not proud or ashamed. I'm just done. I walked him to the door. Tyler, you'll rebuild. You're smart, you're connected, you're resourceful. But you'll rebuild without using me as your invisible safety net while publicly treating me like a liability. We're done then. As family. We were never really family. I was just useful sometimes. He left without another word. Thanksgiving came and went. I spent it with friends in Brooklyn. We cooked together, drank too much wine, watched movies. It was nice. Mom called on Friday. I answered. I hope you're happy, she said. No greeting. I'm content. Your brother's company is bankrupt. His marriage is falling apart. Your father isn't speaking to you. The family is destroyed. The family was already destroyed, Mom. I just stopped pretending otherwise. All of this over a holiday dinner. All of this because you called to tell me I wasn't welcome because I might embarrass Tyler. Because my career, which has been funding his success, wasn't impressive enough for Jennifer's parents. We didn't know you had money. Would it have mattered? Silence. You should have told us, she said finally. If you were doing well financially, you should have said something. Why? So you could be proud of me? So I could finally earn my place at the table? I laughed, but it wasn't kind. Mom, I spent 15 years building wealth while listening to Dad explain to relatives that I was still finding myself. I watched Tyler get celebrated at every family gathering while I got sympathetic looks. I listened to you apologize for my choices to your friends. That's not fair. It's completely fair. And here's the thing. I didn't need you to know I was successful. I just needed you to treat me with basic respect regardless. But you couldn't even do that. So you destroyed Tyler's life. I stopped enabling it. There's a difference. She hung up. I moved to a better apartment in Manhattan. 2 bedrooms, actual closet space, doorman building. Not because I needed to prove anything but because I wanted to. Tyler's company did file for Chapter 11. He managed to salvage one project and restructure around it. He's rebuilding slowly. Jennifer came back after 3 months. They're in couples counseling. He sent me an email in February. Subject, I get it now. Amanda. I've been in therapy. Jennifer insisted. At first I was angry. At you, at the situation, at everything. But my therapist asked me to write down every time I dismissed you, ignored you, or treated you as less than. I filled 7 pages. I'm not writing to ask for anything. I know we're not in a place where that makes sense. I'm writing because I need you to know that I understand now. Not just intellectually but really understand. You weren't obligated to fund my company. You did it because you loved me. And I repaid that by being embarrassed of you. By prioritizing strangers' opinions over your dignity. I don't know if we can repair this. But I needed you to know that I finally see what I did. And I'm sorry. Really, genuinely sorry. Tyler. I read it 3 times. Didn't respond immediately. A week later I wrote back. Tyler. Thank you for the apology. I believe you mean it. I don't know what our relationship looks like going forward. But I appreciate you taking the time to actually understand rather than just being sorry it happened. I hope the rebuilding goes well. Genuinely. Amanda. We haven't spoken since. Maybe we will eventually. Maybe we won't. Here's what I learned. You can't force people to see your value. You can only stop subsidizing their blindness. 4 years I'd been the family's invisible support system, literally funding Tyler's success while accepting their narrative about my struggles. I told myself it didn't matter. That I didn't need their approval. But it did matter. And when Tyler chose to erase me entirely rather than risk his in-laws seeing me as less than, something broke. Not because of Thanksgiving specifically. Because it crystallized 15 years of being simultaneously exploited and dismissed. I didn't destroy Tyler's company out of revenge. I destroyed it because I finally understood that my money was more welcome than my presence. And I refused to accept that anymore. People ask if I regret it. If I wish I'd handled it differently. Sometimes. Late at night when I think about how messy it all got. But then I remember Mom's voice on the phone. "You just make things uncomfortable." And I remember Tyler in my apartment. The family embarrassment. And I remember Dad's email. Be the bigger person. Being the bigger person meant accepting less. Meant continuing to fund Tyler's success while being hidden away like a shameful secret. I chose differently. I chose to value myself as much as I'd been valuing him. And if that meant his company collapsed, if that meant holidays alone, if that meant losing a family that never really saw me anyway, then that was the price of self-respect. I'd pay it again. It's been a year now. I've grown my investment portfolio to $31 million. I hired 2 analysts and we're expanding into commercial development. Ironically, the same space Tyler worked in. Mom sends occasional texts. Surface-level updates. Weather. Holidays. Nothing substantive. Dad and I haven't spoken since that email exchange. Tyler and I are cordial when we accidentally cross paths at extended family events. Polite. Distant. Like acquaintances rather than siblings. Jennifer's pregnant. Mom mentioned it in a text. Said they're hoping I'll come to the baby shower. I haven't decided yet. But I know this. I'm not the family disappointment. I'm not the embarrassment who needs to be hidden from successful people. I'm not the struggling artist who barely gets by. I'm a woman who built an 8-figure investment portfolio while everyone around her assumed she was failing. Who funded her brother's dreams while he was ashamed to introduce her. Who finally said, enough. And walked away. Some people might call that cold. Vindictive. I'm forgiving. I call it knowing my worth. And refusing to accept anything less. Tyler's company collapsed because it was built on a foundation of borrowed money and borrowed time. My support was the only thing holding it together. When I removed that support, the truth became visible. He'd never built something strong enough to stand on its own. And our family relationship? Same story. It was built on me accepting less. On me being useful without being valued. On me funding Tyler's success while accepting his shame. When I stopped accepting that arrangement, the relationship collapsed. Because it was never strong enough to include me as an equal. So yes, I pulled $4.8 million from my brother's company because he uninvited me from Thanksgiving. But really, I pulled it because I finally understood. I'd rather be alone and respected than included and invisible. And honestly, I sleep better now.